Hello and welcome to Learning Excel 2013. My name is Mike Henry and this is the 10th video from Tutorial 8. In this video we're going to look at setting up a lookup table. Now we've been using lookup tables all along, but now we're going to learn how to set one up. And we're going to see it both as an exact match and as an approximate. And most importantly, when we're using the approximate, we're going to learn that we need to work our way up the ladder. So our last videos we've been working with a pre-existing set of tables to use either a VLOOKUP or an HLOOKUP to get the information we wanted. One of the things that the book doesn't spend a lot of time on, and I really feel is very important, is the actual creation of the table. A lot of times people go, oh, I can do a VLOOKUP or an HLOOKUP, and then the boss says, okay, well here's a thing I want you to do and set up information and be able to get it to it. And then people get really confused because they're not being handed a pre-existing table. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually create a pre-existing table to help us get grades for these students over here. Now we already know their number grade. What we need to do is be able to look up their number grade in a table. And here are the rules from the syllabus that this teacher has set up, that if you're between a 90 and a 100 you're going to get an A. Between an 80 and an 89 you're going to get a B. And we're going to look at two different ways to set up this table. Okay? The first way we're going to set it up is we're going to set it up as we're going to do an exact match to get these grades. Now what that means is we're going to have to put in every possible grade for every possible number. So what we'll have here is, in this column here, we'll have the number grade, and in the table right next to it, or excuse me, the column right next to it, we're going to put the letter grade. And now all the possible numeric grades get put into here. So we put in a 100. They could also get a 99. They can get all the possible things, and instead of me typing them all in here and boring you guys really bad, I can just pull this right down, and now we have every possible grade that they can get in here. And then what you would do is you'd put in, well, if they got 100 they get an A, and they work the A all the way down to a 90. They're getting A's, but if they go here they go to a B. And then we take the B's and we work the B's all the way down to here, and that's when you move to a C. And then we do the same thing. C's go all the way down here to the 70, and then we move to a D. And we move the D's all the way down here, and then at the 59 point you fail. And that's the easy one, because we can take this and bring it all the way down. And so what you've done is you've created an exact match table that if they get anywhere between a 0 and a 100, you know how to grade them. And then we could write a formula that says, look this grade up in this table, give us the letter back. Now I want to show you something that's going to be unique about this, because this has not been named as a table array. It does not have any names to it. So what I would do is I would put in here equal, and I'd put in my VLOOKUP. Now unlike we've been using table names, I don't have any table names here. So I would use lookup B2. So I look up B2, and where I'm going to look it up is in this range, and I have to put this range in here totally. Okay, so I say look it up in this range, and then I put a comma, and then I say show me from column 2. And because this one is an exact match, I just put a false, and I put this in place, and it works. Now I want to show you something. As I start copying this down, you can see where eventually this doesn't look like it's actually, we haven't gotten to the point where it would fail, but if you look here you can see that the range that it's looking in is in just this area here. So if this person, instead of getting a 55, had gotten a 95, you can see that they wouldn't have gotten a grade appropriate because there isn't a grade there. So your first formula, you would have had to take this range here and you would have had to absolute it appropriately, and then when you copy this down it would work fine because it was always going to the same range. So that's how we do this if this was an exact match one. But let's take that all out of here because that was way too much work for us. And we want to look at this as an approximate match. So when we look at this as an approximate match, the rules are set up for this. Now remember, we want to start at the lowest and work our way up the ladder. So in this case, if you got a 0, if you got a 0, you were going to get an F. And until you worked your way up the ladder to get a 60, you were still getting an F. When you hit the ladder of a 60, you now got your D. And then you climbed up the ladder a little further to your 70, and that got you a C. And then you climbed up to the 80, which would eventually get you the B. And if you kept climbing, you got to the 90, you got your A. Okay. So now what we're going to do is take this V lookup over here and we're going to just change it a little bit. Okay. So instead of having such a large range, we only have to have this tiny range right here. And we're going to hit the F4 so that is absoluted. Okay. Now with this small tiny range, we're going to still return column 2, except this time we're going to go with a true because this is an approximate match. And you can see as we work down, the approximate match works perfectly for us. More importantly, if one of these students got a 110 for a grade, they did extra credit, got a little extra, you can see that they moved up and they still get their A. Okay? So this is how to set up a table. So in this video, we created our own lookup table. This is something I think that's really important for us to understand is how to set them up. Too many times people know how to do VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUPs using a pre-existing table, but they don't know how to create their own table and think it through. Today, we created both one for an exact match and we created one for an approximate match. And you can see how much easier an approximate match table can be. The key thing to setting one up is that you need to work your way up the ladder. People don't remember which direction to go, but you're going to work from the smallest to the largest, work your way up the ladder, and you will always be fine.